Okay, so welcome back to the channel. Well, my name's Andrew, and if it's the first time here, thanks for joining us. If it's not your first time here, then it's still Andrew, as I say every time. And today I'm going to be looking at using ND filters on the Mini 5 Pro. Now, using ND filters is going to apply to any drone that you're using, with the exception of the original Mini, because that's only got a single axis gimbal, and you can get some rather weird effects if you are using ND filters on the DJI Neo. And I've also done a separate video on that, which I'm going to put the link up here. So the purpose of ND filters is to give motion blur to your footage, which is something you get naturally when you're looking at things. So the way that we do this is we use what we call the 180 rule. So basically you need to go into your Pro settings and you need to adjust your exposure rate to twice that of your frame rate. So say for example you're filming in 30 frames a second, then you need your exposure rate to be set to 1/60th of a second. The same way, if you're filming in 50 frames a second, then your exposure should be 1/100th of a second. Now, because the location you're filming is going to change day to day, you do get a number of ND filters, and that's going to be an ND 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256 on 1000. And depending on where you are, the brightness of the day, cloud cover, this type of thing, it's going to depend on which filter you're going to need to reduce that exposure rate from whatever it's set to match the frame that you're filming in. So I'm down the beach now. The plan is I'm going to set up some waypoint missions. I'm going to fly the drone from one end of this field to the other, both without the ND filters and with the ND filters, so you can see the difference. Now it is November, everything is wet. So I brought with me my trusty hard case, and there's a link for that in the description below if you are interested in getting one, because it's really a superb case. I'm also going to be using a combination of ND filters. I've got the ones themselves from DJI, which came in the combo pack, and I've also got a separate set from Start RC, because these fit into the gaps that the DJI ones didn't supply. And there's also a link for them in the description below if you want to get any ND filters. So let's crack on. Right, so as you can see, I've got it in auto mode, and it's set at 60 frames a second. So I'm going to set up now the waypoint mission. And I'm going to fly it away from the sun just to make sure that we don't have any exposure changes as we're going along. Even though that's not going to make much of a difference for the actual waypoint mission itself. At the first waypoint, I'm going to tell the drone that I want it to start recording when it reaches that point. Then I'm going to fly the drone down and that's going to be the second waypoint. So I'm going to add another waypoint there. And for this one, I'm going to tell the drone to stop recording. If you are interested in doing waypoint missions, there is a complete video on my channel which covers everything you need to know about waypoints as well. Set the global speed up, yeah, to 5 meters a second, not a bit fast. So the drone now is turning around, just going to go back to the start of the waypoint mission. Okay, so that's the first one done, so it's coming back to me. If I go to Pro mode, you can see that my shutter speed is set to 1/3200. So obviously, if I'm shooting at 60 frames a second, that should really be 1/120th of a second. So if I actually bring that down to 1/120th of a second, you can see that I'm just going to get an image which is going to be totally blown out. So now we need to put on the ND filters to try and bring it down to that magic figure of 1/120th of a second. Okay, so I've got the drone back now. As you can see, I'm in auto and it's still showing 4K at 60 frames a second, but I need to bring that down to 1/120th of a second. So I'm going to go into Pro. And then I need to change two of the settings. So we need to bring the ISO down to 100 and then bring the shutter speed down to what we want, which is 1/120. So I'm going to put the ND filter on now, which is the 128. And you can see there on the bottom of the screen, the mm value is -1.3. So that shows that the ND filter of 128 is going to be too dark for the shooting settings. So I need to reduce that down. So I'm going to try a 64. And the 64 one I'm using is the one from Start RC. Like I said, there's a link for that below. And you can see with the 64, it's brought the mm value down to -0.3. Now when you are shooting with ND filters, you want to try and get a minus value of between -0.3 and -0.7, because you can always bring any shadows up in post production, whereas if it's still overexposed, you can't bring anything back. So always make sure you are slightly underexposed. Okay, this is the point where I say, if you find it useful so far, if you could do the like and subscribe thing, that would be great. There's also a link below for Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to do that, that would be greatly appreciated as well. And there's also plenty of other links in relation to the Mini 5 Pro on my channel if you'd like to check those out too. Okay, take off. And I'm going to run the same waypoint mission again. So you can see, because I'm shooting into the sun, the mm value has increased to plus 1.3, so that ND filter isn't strong enough, but because I'm going to go back the opposite way, it should be ideal. So there we are, you can see now it's dropped to -0.3. I'm just going to run that again because the precision landing of the drone was absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to show you that as well.
Take off. Home point updated.
So it's going back to what it was. I'm really surprised with this because when it comes back, you've got green against green.
Return to home.
So I thought it would have had a bit of difficulty coming back. And also on my channel, there's a video on the advanced return to home features you've got with the Mini 5 Pro as well.
Landing.
How good was that? Really impressed with that. I didn't think it would be that good. And these are stills taken from both sets of footage. Now, as you can see, the one on the left is with no ND filter, and you can still see the individual blades of grass, whereas the one on the right is taken with the ND filter, and you can see that you've got that motion blur, and it makes it more difficult to see the individual blades. So this is going to give you a more cinematic effect overall when you are flying with ND filters. Now, normally when I'm filming, I tend to film in 24 frames a second. So this time I'm going to reduce the frame rate down to 24 frames a second. So I'm going to have to increase the ND filter. So I'm going to try the 128. Okay, so you can see now that I've reduced the shutter speed down to 1/50th of a second because my frame rate is 1/24th of a second, and that's the closest I'm going to be able to get. But I'm still showing slightly overexposed as plus 0.3. But if you look at the histogram, you can see the histogram is perfect because everything is nicely centered in the center of the histogram. There's nothing peaking or no shadows being crushed. So we'll try it now with this one as well.
Take off. Home point updated.
So do my waypoints. Go. Now, another thing you need to bear in mind when you're using ND filters as well is the height of the drone, because you want motion blur, but if the drone is extremely high and you're looking down, you're not going to get much motion blur anyway. So ND filters are going to be more important being closer to the subject that you're actually filming. If you are being up high and you're just doing a lot of landscape, you can't really judge the speed of the drone. So having motion blur is not really going to make that much of a difference. And I'll show you that now. I'm going to set up the second waypoint mission there for stop recording. Go back. And I'm going to click on next. My global speed is 5 and go for that. So this one is with the ND filter on and it's filming 24 frames a second, 4K. Okay, so there it goes. It's filming 24 frames a second and the exposure is -1. So that's okay, we can always bring it back. So the drone's in the air, it's going to go to the first waypoint and it's going to do this mission with no ND filters and it's totally in auto. Now, another filter that's useful is a CPL, or polarization filter. And this changes the angle of the light's coming in, so it helps the footage pop more, so it's going to get more saturated colours, brighter skies, that type of thing. It also means that it's going to cut down on reflection. So if you're filming over water, it'll remove some of the glare that's coming off the surface of the water. If you're filming in things like a cityscape, it can remove some of the glare that's reflecting off the buildings. Now you can get CPL filters as well as a combination of ND filters with a CPL aspect in it, and then you can just adjust the dial to reflect whatever aspect you're filming in, whether or not it's vertical or horizontal. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to put the drone up, I'm just going to leave it in the horizontal aspect, and then I'm going to rotate the gimbal so you can see the difference in the sky as it changes. So if you look at the sky and you've got the polarization filter set to the horizontal mode. So I'm just going to rotate the gimbal round. And you can see the sky starting to get darker. So when I go to a full 90 degrees, you can see that the sky on the left-hand side is a lot darker than it was when I started. So I'm just going to fly it over the sand to see if it's going to make any difference with the reflection coming off the sand as well. And if you look with this shot, as the glare increases, it fades out the dark lines, so you're losing some definition. Okay, that's it. If you found it useful, if you could do the like and subscribe and the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. There's also a link, as I said earlier, for Buy Me a Coffee, and anything I get from that is going towards the new DJI Neo 2, which is due out next week. And I'd like to thank the people who've already supported me in purchasing that. That's been great. Thanks very much for that. There's also plenty of other videos on the channel in relation to all manner of Mini 5 things like waypoints, master shots, hyperlapses, that type of thing. And if you want to check out those, that would be greatly appreciated. And finally, if you've got any questions or anything you want to know in relation to using ND filters or anything else drone related, drop me a line below and I'll come back to you as soon as I can. Thanks very much.